and welcome to Cahnmann's Current Event Roundtable. Today we have three, I'm the fourth one, I'm an interesting guest, I guess. We have three interesting guests. Our first guest is Brett Cohn, who is the director of the Chicago chapter and Midwest region of Stand With Us. Hello, hi. Brett. Welcome to Cahnmann's Current Event Roundtable. And we have also Becky Edelman, who is the Executive Director of the American Zionist Movement, Chicago region. Welcome to our show. And our last guest is Karen Barak, who is a musician and a Zionist activist. Welcome to
Thank you so much, Suzanne.
We have a lot of things that we're going to cover in a half an hour today. So I would like to start with Brett, and we could all chime in. And we're talking about Brett. You are with Stand With Us, which is an organization. Help me out here.
Sure. So Stand With Us is an Israel education organization. We're an international organization with 12 chapters around the world, and our mission is to supply college students with accredited, credible materials to be able to advocate for Israel on campus. We provide them with speakers, with programming, and different sorts of things that they can use to help share Israel's message on campus.
Okay, but Brett, there's one thing that I want to talk about is campuses experiencing flurry of anti-Israel activity. And this was very shocking to me because Brett sent me a tape, and I just absolutely couldn't believe what I saw. And first of all, I saw a lot of anti-Israel signs that carry Palestinian students on American campuses that they were, about Jews, a lot of hatred, which I was so shocked about because I don't believe that students, I mean all kinds of students, if they're Arab students or Muslim students, Christian students, Jewish students, I mean they're students. Why would they have so much animosity toward the Jewish students? Why would other students dislike just because of their religion? What is going on in campuses that is causing such a flurry of anti-Semitic feelings or well, we're going to get into Zionism. I don't know if it's anti-Zionism, anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, anti-Israel. I'm not quite sure what this is.
Well, you have to understand this in a broader context. Globally, there is a campaign to delegitimize the state of Israel. And unfortunately, we see it on our college campuses as well. Now, a lot of the time, the rhetoric we see used crosses the line from being legitimate criticism of Israel into being outrightly anti-Semitic. One of the issues we've seen recently is that there is an active campaign to shut down free speech on campuses. The video that you had mentioned that I showed you earlier, which we'll have available on our website later, is from last week when Israeli Ambassador Michael Oren spoke at UC Irvine in California. Mm-hmm. Students came in and systematically disrupted his speech 11 times, and in the end, the chancellor of the university had to get up and take control of the situation. And this is something we're seeing across the country. In fact, just a few months ago here in Chicago, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert was essentially booed off the stage at the University of Chicago using the same types of tactics. It's really a concerted campaign to shut down free speech and to really minimize opposing viewpoints.
Yeah, that's very interesting because I know the tape that you mentioned with the ambassador on that, Ambassador Oren, U.S. ambassador to Israel, and he's the Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Mm-hmm. That's what he is. And he even said that he was kind of disappointed when the students were taken out by policemen. It wasn't just asked to leave, but there were actual policemen in uniform taking these students out, and he said, and I quote, he said that he wished they were not removed. Those were the people he wanted to address. Mm-hmm. And if he would have left them there, he wouldn't have been able to speak. I mean, he was only able to speak 1 or 2 sentences, and they would be screaming. And when I said in the beginning of the program, I didn't know if it was anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish, anti-Zionism, and here we have 2 people. We have Zionist experts on our show today, and so I was wondering, Becky, maybe you could address this. Was the, you know, and I know you've seen the tape before too, was it a Zionist thing that they were doing, a Jewish? Maybe you could explain, because, you know, Zionism is an old word, and it is for those that you know, want to know what Zionism is, and I do have the definition. Zionism is another name for a type of Jewish nationalism that seeks to reestablish a homeland in their spiritual and historic center of Palestine. The movement gets its name from Mount Zion, the hill in the ancient Jerusalem where King David's palace stood, and has come to mean the Jewish homeland. The doctrine took root in the 19th century under such Jewish thinkers as Theodor Herzl. Now, I know you're trying to get the Zionist movement back again, but were these students, were they objecting to Zionism, Israel, Judaism? What were they objecting to?
I think I do want to talk about what AZM is, but in response to your question, I think Zionism is actually code word for anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, because you see Zionism being equated to apartheid, you see it being equated to Nazism, so it's really code word for just overall hate of Israel, of Judaism in general. And so what we're trying to do, what American Zionist Movement is, it's the umbrella organization for many different Zionist groups, ranging from left-wing to right-wing to more religiously observant to less religiously observant. But it's really a unique organization because we all come together for the love of Israel, for the culture of Israel, and for Zionism. And we're part of the World Zionist Organization, which is based in Jerusalem. We're the American branch, so we actually have federations, Zionist federations throughout the world, in Europe, Australia, South America. So we're the American branch right here.
If I could chime in.
Yes, you can.
When you ask the question of Brett and also of Becky, I think it's really important to say that Zionism is a historical movement because of religious hatred and anti-Semitism throughout history. When you ask the question to Brett, why was this anti-Israel, this is not something new, and that's really the biggest problem. Zionism and Herzl created the movement toward the State of Israel because he saw directly in France the results of a very unfair anti-Semitic trial against a specific soldier, and that led him to understand that the only way that Jews could be safe is if they found a State of Israel. That became then Zionism, and had there been a State of Israel, it is possible then that the Holocaust would not have been allowed to happen. So Zionism is a very important term that we might look at historically, but what Becky's organization is trying to do is to help everyone define what Zionism means to them. Because if you feel a connection to the State of Israel in whatever way, in a way you're a Zionist, because you look to that country as a part of your culture, a part of your heritage, your homeland to a certain extent. Even if we're Americans, even if we live here, that part of our heart is always connected to Israel.
And while we're talking about definitions, you actually read a very good definition of Zionism. You know, in a lot of dictionaries, I've seen that the conflict is being put into the definition, whereas, for example, in dictionary.com, on their definition, it says at the very end, Zionism is opposed by most Arabs.
Now, that brings me to this question. What do Arabs think what Zionism is? What is it? Do they think it's like a